This is when I knew Eminem was real. He's like, I don't give a man. This is when I knew, I'm like, damn, Eminem is a real these things.
Eminem has never been just another rapper. He's the one artist the whole industry watches carefully, because stepping at him has put veterans, rookies, and even executives in uncomfortable positions. For more than 20 years, he built a reputation as the guy who can end your run with a single verse. And anyone brave enough to test him usually learned that lesson the hard way. People knew he was different early on too. You hear someone say, "This is when I knew Eminem was real." He's like, "I don't give a man." That's when I knew. I'm like, damn, Eminem is a real these. And even through all the noise, that energy stayed the same, raw, sharp, and daring. From Detroit's gritty underground to global superstardom, Slim Shady treated diss tracks like demolition tools. These weren't simple jabs. His words came with impact, ruining reputations, crushing momentum, and pushing artists off the charts completely. Every challenger thought they were ready.
This feud escalated beyond blow-up dolls when Eminem allegedly pulled an unloaded gun on an insane clown posse employee outside a Detroit car audio store in June of 2000.
And every one of them walked away realizing Eminem wasn't playing with anyone. Benzino, Ja Rule, MGK, even industry giants connected to Diddy. None of them were too respected or too powerful to get hit. And behind every savage line was a bigger question. What pushed him to be this relentless? What shaped a kid from Detroit into hip-hop's most feared name? Before the world knew him as Marshall Mathers, the global icon, he was just a hungry Detroit kid grinding for respect. Back then, rappers in his own city barely took him seriously. That changed quick once he crossed paths with one of the loudest and strangest rap groups Detroit ever produced, Insane Clown Posse.
Shady, why not? Shady.
What started as a tiny misunderstanding became Eminem's first major feud, and it set the blueprint for how he handles disrespect. This beef didn't stay innocent either. Things escalated way past jokes and blow-up dolls. There was even a rumor about Eminem allegedly pulling an unloaded gun on an ICP employee outside a Detroit car audio store in June 2000. The tension was real, and the city felt it. The whole thing's back in 1995, when a broke and unknown Eminem printed flyers promoting one of his early shows. On those flyers, he hinted that ICP might perform, but there was one little problem. He never asked them. When ICP found out, they demanded he stop using their name, accusing him of trying to use their reputation to get attention. Most artists would have apologized and moved on, but Slim Shady wasn't built like that. That rejection stuck with him like a scar he wasn't letting fade. Fast forward a few years, Eminem drops the Slim Shady LP, the world goes wild, and suddenly, he had the whole industry watching his every move. That's when he fired back. On the Marshall Mathers LP, he sent direct shots at ICP, mocking the face paint, the over-the-top style, and even their fan base, the Juggalos. These weren't harmless jokes, they hit with force. Overnight, ICP went from local stars to punchlines. Their credibility in mainstream hip-hop dropped hard, while Eminem turned into an unstoppable force with a global audience cheering behind him. He wasn't just winning battles, he was sending messages. Disrespect him, and you pay for it. And that was only the beginning. After ICP, his next target wasn't just a rapper. It was one of the most powerful men in hip-hop media. What followed shifted everything and showed the world what happens when someone with influence tries to challenge Slim Shady. By the early 2000s, Eminem wasn't just popular. He was on a different level entirely.
I don't hate Eminem. I don't know him to hate him. I don't hate white people. Tired of this shit, man. It's just too much. I don't want to be the bad guy. I got an 8-year-old son that I dropped off at school this morning. Come on, man. Come on, man. I'm all right. All me and Eminem got to do is sit down and talk with each other. Let's sit down.
But even at the top, he dealt with critics, and one of them became his biggest headache. Ray Benzino Scott, co-owner of The Source magazine. What started as criticism turned into a full-scale war that changed careers, reputations, and the balance of power in hip-hop. The Source wasn't a regular magazine back then. It was the place that decided who was legendary. Its famous mic ratings could make or break an album. A perfect 5 mics meant your project was iconic. So when Eminem dropped The Eminem Show in 2002 and The Source only gave it 4 mics, he took it personally. 4 mics was still great, but to Eminem, it wasn't about the score. It was about respect. He believed Benzino lowered it because of personal bias. Benzino responded by accusing Eminem of being an industry plant, claiming he was chosen to profit off the culture instead of earning his place. He said M was fake and didn't belong in hip-hop. That's when Eminem snapped back with force. He dropped back-to-back diss tracks, The Sauce and Nail in the Coffin. These weren't regular disses. They were full breakdowns of Benzino's career, image, and patterns. Eminem mocked his age, exposed how he allegedly used the source to promote his own music, and questioned his credibility in a way that the public never forgot. What followed was rough for Benzino. Meanwhile, Eminem came out untouched, stronger than before, like he just walked through a storm without a scratch. Years later, Benzino spoke on camera saying he didn't hate Eminem, but the frustration and exhaustion were clear in his voice. You hear him saying things like, "I don't hate Eminem. I don't know him to hate him. I don't hate white people. Tired of this man. It's just too much. I don't want to be the bad guy. Come on, man. I'm all right. All me and Eminem got to do is sit down and talk with each other." The man who once judged hip-hop's elite became the punchline, while Eminem kept rising. And this wasn't even the end of his reign, because his next feud wasn't with a media boss, it was with a chart-topping rapper who had real-life street tension behind him.
Are we ready? I guess not.
This next fallout shaped hip-hop history in a way people still talk about today. When Eminem teamed up with 50 Cent, it wasn't just a label deal. It was the moment the whole industry felt a shift, like two powerhouses linking up to send a warning shot across hip-hop. The year was 2002, and 50 was burning up the streets with every mixtape he dropped. His name had the block talking, labels nervous, and every rival camp paying attention because he already had serious tension with Ja Rule and Murder Inc. But Ja didn't realize that stepping into a feud with 50 also meant stepping into a feud with Eminem.
It makes that person as irrelevant as people say I am in hip hop. Yeah. I make them bigger by getting into this thing where I'm like, I want to destroy him, but I also don't want to make him bigger.
His influence collapsed, lawsuits hit the magazine, and he eventually got pushed out of the source altogether. And that came with a different level of trouble entirely. Ja had enjoyed years at the top. Tracks like Always on Time and Mesmerize had him dominating charts and radio. But behind all the polished hits was a rivalry that got real in the streets, with physical fights, confrontations, and even confirmed stabbing incidents tied to the tension between both camps. When 50 finally signed with Shady Aftermath, Ja took it as a personal shot and came back swinging with a diss track called Loose Change. That track crossed a serious line because he didn't just go after 50, he brought up Eminem's family, which was something nobody should have touched. He insulted M's mom, brought up his ex-wife Kim, and even mentioned his daughter by name, and that was the moment the whole world knew Ja had pushed it too far. Then you hear that moment in the studio where someone asks, "Are we ready?" Followed by that dramatic, "I guess not," like the calm before a storm. Because once family got involved, everything changed, and Eminem responded with the kind of force people still talk about today. Eminem does not joke when it comes to protecting his family. He fired back with tracks like Haley's Revenge, Bully, and a whole string of verses that tore into Ja from every angle, turning him from a chart topper into someone people laughed at in conversations. M roasted him for copying Tupac's style, questioned his street persona, and shredded his credibility line by line. And what made the whole situation even tougher for Ja was that 50 Cent and Dr. Dre were standing right beside Eminem the entire time, making it feel like a 3-on-1 lyrical ambush. The fallout was fast and brutal. Ja Rule's career went from platinum success to becoming a punchline, and suddenly the same artist who couldn't stop getting radio spins was being clowned everywhere. Even Murder Inc. ended up collapsing under investigations, legal trouble, and the public losing trust in them.
Made a call to Diddy, really? Yeah. I got Diddy's number, just hit him up. Yo, Diddy, what up? Never happened.
Eminem didn't just defend his circle. He helped shut down an entire movement that once controlled the airwaves. And anyone who thought Slim Shady was slowing down didn't understand him at all, because his next challenger came from a new generation, a time when the game was changing and people were testing legends to prove they could hang with the old giants. This wasn't about street grudges anymore. This was about a younger rapper stepping up to see if he could shake a titan. You hear M himself reflect on this type of situation in interviews, saying things like, "It makes that person as irrelevant as people say I am in hip-hop. I make them bigger by getting into this thing where I'm like, I want to destroy him, but I also don't want to make him bigger." That's the mindset of someone who knows his power and understands exactly what happens when he focuses on someone. By the late 2000s, most rappers knew better than to take that risk. But one person still decided to test him anyway. And the moment he did, The entire hip-hop world stopped to watch what Slim Shady was going to do next. Machine Gun Kelly never expected to become part of one of hip-hop's wildest feuds, but the moment his name crossed Eminem's path, everything changed. What started as a small tweet ended up becoming one of the most talked about rap wars of the decade, and by the time it was finished, MGK's entire career took a turn nobody predicted. It all began back in 2012 when MGK posted a tweet calling Eminem's teenage daughter hot. That single message lit up the internet instantly. Even though Eminem didn't publicly respond at the time, everyone knew he took note of it quietly. As the years passed, rumors floated around that MGK was being blocked from major platforms connected to Eminem, including Shade 45, Sirius XM station. Whether those rumors were real or exaggerated, one thing was obvious. Shady didn't forget anything. Fast forward, MGK finally decided to fire his shot. He dropped Rap Devil, running straight at Eminem with mockery about his age, his beard, and the idea that M was out of touch with the culture. The track went viral overnight, and for a moment, people actually wondered if MGK managed to pull off the impossible. But that feeling didn't last long because Slim Shady answered back. Within days, Eminem released Kill Shot, and the entire scene shifted. The track was precise, sharp, and sounded like a verbal demolition tool. Every line hit with purpose as he dismantled MGK's image, confidence, and position in the rap world, calling him someone who existed only in Shady's shadow. Fans crowned Eminem the winner instantly, no debate. Kill Shot became one of the most viewed diss tracks in YouTube history, while MGK got booed at his own shows afterward. Soon after, MGK made a full shift out of rap and rebranded himself as a pop-punk rock artist. Jokes spread across the internet saying Eminem literally made him change genres. But this feud wasn't just about bars. It was a reminder of how powerful Eminem remained. Even decades into his career, he could still shut down someone's momentum in a single moment. MGK learned the same lesson many before him already knew. Stepping into a fight with Slim Shady doesn't just hurt your reputation, it closes your chapter in hip-hop. But Shady wasn't done because his next target wasn't a rapper. It was someone from the political world. And the backlash proved Slim Shady's war zone had no boundaries. When it comes to feuds, Eminem always played by his own rules. But nobody expected his next battle to be with a political commentator. This time, the person calling him out was Candace Owens, a controversial conservative figure known for starting heated arguments. Candace built a career off calling out celebrities, but she definitely picked the wrong one when she stepped at Eminem. The conflict began when Eminem sent a legal notice telling a political candidate to stop using "lose yourself" at rallies. Candace jumped into the situation fast, criticizing him online and calling him a washed-up liberal puppet. At first, fans thought Eminem would ignore her, but Slim Shady doesn't let disrespect slide. Not from rappers, not from media personalities, and not from politicians. On his 2024 album, The Death of Slim Shady, he mentioned Candace by name multiple times. His lyrics challenged her politics, flipped her talking points on her, and highlighted her reputation for stirring chaos online. One line compared her to the Grand Wizard of hate groups, a sharp jab that exploded across social media. Candace responded by calling him Grandpa Shady, saying he was out of touch and bitter. The feud spread everywhere online, creating a mix of shock and laughter. Eminem's bars didn't just go after her. They reminded everyone he was still fearless, still sharp, and still ready to drag anyone into his lyrical crossfire, even outside of rap. But if Candace thought she was tough competition, she had no idea what was coming next. Eminem's next target wasn't a political figure. It was one of the biggest names in the music industry, someone facing serious accusations. And this time, Slim Shady wasn't holding anything back. You even hear someone say, "Made a call to Diddy." Really? I got Diddy's number. Just hit him up. Yo, Diddy, what up? Never happened. Eminem and Diddy always had a complicated dynamic, a mix of respect, tension, and hidden jabs that fans caught only if they paid close attention. It started quietly when Eminem dropped subtle bars mentioning Diddy, which sounded like jokes but carried a sharp edge. As more stories and scandals surrounded Diddy over the years, those bars sounded less like jokes and more like warnings. Back in 2000, on one of his wilder tracks, Eminem joked about Diddy and J-Lo in a twisted fantasy. Funny on the surface, but uncomfortable underneath. Years later, he pushed things much further. In Kill Shot, his response to MGK, Eminem